G'day legends. I'm about to change out my infotainment system in my vehicle. Now whilst it's not the factory head unit that comes with the car, it has been upgraded before I bought the vehicle. It is a big name brand and it came with a big name price tag as well. But the things that you don't get with that big price tag is very disappointing. And it makes for the driving experiences not so pleasurable anymore. The music cuts out through Bluetooth. The Android Auto and CarPlay just doesn't work half the time. Don't even get me started on trying to download apps for when we want to pull up and watch YouTube or watch Netflix, especially for the kids. So I'm about to rip this one out and I'm going to reinstall with a VIDIA head unit. Some of you may have heard of VIDIA, some of you may not have. If you stick around long enough, you'll see why I've changed my mind. Let's do a little unboxing video. I'll show you what's involved.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice when you see inside this box is just how well packaged it is. It's completely wrapped in foam, nice big thick piece of foam on top. It arrives safely and intact. The unit stays safe. I may or may not have had a little bit of peek inside this beforehand anyway, but user manual and wiring diagrams are very good to familiarise yourself with what's going on before you start the install. And then we've got our trim removal tools. This little toolkit has 4 pieces in it. Great for avoiding any cracks or scratches on your plastic trim when you're taking off around the surrounds of your stereo. Thanks VIDIA. A couple of freebies is always good. Then we've got the daunting part, the plugs and the wires. Don't stress, there's video tutorials on YouTube for your specific vehicle, and they have a live chat available Saturdays and Sundays, and you can call them Monday to Fridays as well. Then comes the OBD2 scanner adapter. This allows you to have live engine data, remove engine codes and whatnot. Very good bit of kit. More wires. That's your main harness right there, so that's the one you'll probably be wanting to look at first. And we've got our pull through tool, so we're not busting our knuckles and scratching and cutting ourselves up. And most importantly, when you're doing big jobs like this, you've got to stay hydrated, right? So VIDIA chucks in a nice little hydration device. Thanks VIDIA. Pretty cool little stubby holder. Folds nice and flat. Chuck it in your pocket, chuck it in your glove box, wherever. First things first though, let's chuck a stubby in it. Out comes the harn. Whack it in, crack the top off. And here's a nice little cheers from me to you guys. Quick sip and back into it. I'm going to pull the head unit out now and you'll see just how thin and how compact it really is. These things are so light, and it's really good to know that they're so thin on the back, simply because you've got a lot of wiring there, so it's really good to know that you can chuck all that wiring in and not have it all squashed and crushed up. As you can see, like I said, it's very thin, very compact, and it's very, very light. Very big units. Okay, so next thing that I'm going to be doing is showing you all the wiring. So this is all the wiring laid out, the unit, the OBD2 scanner, the trim removal tools, the user manual and wiring diagrams. Like I said, there are YouTube tutorials, so check them out before you start. So I'm going to start here by using one of the trim removal tools that come with the kit. I found it easy to stick one up top. Just pries it open a little bit and gives you enough room to stick another little tool in between, down around the middle towards the bottom, and it pries off very easily, as you'll see. That was a little bit rough, but it survived. And you do the same again with the second one. The second one comes off quite easily, as you can see. Stick it in, just move it down as you go, just pry a little bit. Don't have to use very much force at all, really. Everything comes off these Navaras pretty easy. Everything's really accessible. Remove this piece, and that'll give you access to the screws on the side. First things first, a little bit thirsty. Have another drink. Cheers, guys. Righto, just take a few screws off either side of the surround and the climate control panel and the surround will come off in one piece. Keep in mind guys, this is not a stock standard Nissan Navara NP300 head unit. This is an aftermarket one, but the same process applies for your factory head unit. Now your surround will come off in one piece, but you will have to take off the climate control panel and put that onto the VDA head unit surround. 2 clips, very simple process. Now you'll have access to 4 more screws. 2 screws either side of the head unit here are holding the head unit into place. Remove those screws, slide out the head unit and start pulling out the plugs for the head unit and the wiring harness. Once you've done that, you'll be able to replace the wiring harnesses with the ones that are supplied with the VDA head unit. Now I won't bore you with all the boring details of making you go through watching me rewire the new head unit in. I'll come back to you once I've installed the VDA head unit and explain just a couple of little features that I like on it. Pretty simple process really.
Now one cool thing about this VDA head unit is that you will get a OBD2 port adapter for live data for your engine. This is pretty cool. This little app just here, car scanner, you click on that, it'll bring up all your live data. So your engine RPMs, your kilometers whilst you're moving, obviously I'm not moving, your litres per 100 kilometers, your average fuel rate, your average fuel consumption, and you can go across and you can have this as a constant screen. So you have your revs and you can have the coolant temperature. You can customize these, but if you aren't going to use the Car Scanner Pro, you're only limited to 2. I chose the engine RPM and the coolant temp, probably 2 of the main real ones that I would actually use. Another good thing about this is that you can customize anything you want on the screen. You've got so many options for apps. Obviously you can go to YouTube, you can go to Netflix. You will need to use your mobile hotspot or your Wi-Fi. And gallery, obviously there's nothing in there at the moment because I've only just connected it up. You can have photos, videos, anything you can use as wallpapers. There's so many different settings, so many different options. So if you go to your display, it'll bring up all of your equalizer settings, just the same as it does if you go into your settings here. Car infotainment, back to where we were before. But guys, that's it at the moment. This is all that I've got to go by, and I'm pretty stoked with how easy it really was to put together. One other thing I will mention though is this little sucker here that you get with the unit. This is your firmware update USB. Do not lose it, because when it comes time to update the firmware on the head units, you will be needing this. I've just ran the USB cable through to my glove box, so anytime I need to update the firmware for the head unit, I just plug this in straight into the glove box USB connection and update the firmware accordingly. Do not lose this.
So this is the stereo that was getting replaced with the VDA head unit. Very small screen. The quality of the screen wasn't the best. Compared to the VDA head unit, massive difference, as you can see, not just the screen size, but the clarity of the screen is incredible. Really looking forward to using this more often and getting used to some of the settings and options and customizing it to myself. This is a photo of a stock standard NP300 for reference compared to the VDA head unit. Huge difference.
So there you go guys, I hope that's given you some kind of incentive to replace the current head unit in your vehicle with a VDA multimedia system. I'm really looking forward to using this over the next few months and getting used to the settings and the apps and being able to customize things to suit my own needs. It's going to be a big game changer for me and my family, especially when we're going on the long drives. And look, if you're doubting yourself that you can't do it, it is a plug and play system. I did have quite a few plugs and wires left over, and that's simply just because I didn't need them for this specific vehicle. There are YouTube tutorials and videos, install videos on YouTube for you to go in and have a look for your specific vehicle. And there are live chats on Saturdays and Sundays till 1 PM, as well as Monday to Friday. You can call the guys over at VDA and they can walk you through whatever you need help with. Massive shout out to VDA for giving me the opportunity and allowing me to install one of these into my vehicle. They have got so many different
products that I would really love to check out as well. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I get to see quite a few more of you guys out there with the video multimedia systems. There's really only one other thing left to do. Well, two, and I'll show you. Of course, it's got to be the most satisfying thing when you put in a head unit. Ah, yes. That's one thing out of the way. Now the next thing. Now in the box, you'll also get a little stubby cooler. You've got to stay hydrated on these big jobs, right? So here's a cheers from me to you and a cheers from me to Vidia.